right. Who does not like to read? Don't know about you, but that's what I do when I have time I can spare, which lately hasn't been very much. We have with us Patrick Whitehurst. He's an award-winning journalist and an author of a number of books. Nice to have you on, Patrick.
Thank you, Sandy. Nice to be on.
We should also mention that you were a Daily Courier reporter.
Yes.
Thank you for the lovely article in the newspaper.
Oh, no, I was glad to do it.
Yeah, very fun.
People are very excited to have you on.
Speaking of having a full schedule, I want to know where you have time to write all these books.
Weekends, usually, sometimes late at night.
So you don't have a bunch of kids and
Oh, I do. I
and
have a son, and he can make writing a little difficult at times, but he's encouraging, actually, too. He likes to have a dad who writes.
Well, it's impressive. How many books do you have out now?
2 nonfictions and 2 short fiction books.
Yeah, your nonfiction is interesting. You've written on the Grand Canyon Gateway communities of Williams,
Tucson,
and Tucson.
I did Williams and Tucson. Williams, I lived there for about 13 years, so that was an easy book to work on. And my work in journalism kind of helped pave the way for that book. I knew a lot of people there, so I was able to gather all the photos and the images that the Arcadia Images of America books use. So it was a fun book to write.
Nice, and a lot of research goes into those, definitely.
Yeah, there was a lot of advance work prior to signing the contract even with the publisher. I had to make sure that I had enough images to work with, because these books, they use a lot of old photographs, and in some areas like Tucson, for instance, was a lot more difficult to find historic photos of Tucson dating back to the 1800s or whatever.
I'm sure, because these Images of America book, I know they weren't kicked off during the centennial year, but they definitely were. More of them were published during the centennial year, and then they continue. And so they want to get the history going and let people know about that.
Right, yeah, I first actually came across one in the 90s when I was in Pacific Grove, California, which is where my fiction books are set, but I found one of those Images of America books at a museum for one of my hometowns, and so I was familiar with them even way back then, but in 2008 I did an article on Marshall Trimble, who wrote the Ash Fork book, and that led into the Williams book. I asked if there was anyone working on a Williams-related one, and the contact at Arcadia Publishing said, no, there isn't, but do you want to? So
there you go.
Next thing I know, I had a contract.
Careful what you ask for, right?
That's right.
Do you find that writing nonfiction is more difficult than fiction, or the other way around?
Well, they're very different. Nonfiction, like journalism, you have to be very careful. You have to pay a lot of attention to what you're doing. Fiction, you can create your own world within our world, but there's research in both. For my Barker mysteries that I'm currently working on, I've done a fair amount of research into those as well, as far as in the Monterey area, the history of that area, which I wanted to incorporate into those books.
Now, are you from that area?
I was born in Carmel, California.
Oh, you lucky man. I always called that the adult Disneyland when I first saw it. It's like, oh, this is the cutest place in the world.
There's a lot to do there, and Clint Eastwood's there.
With his famous bar. Can't remember what it's called.
I think it's I could be wrong, but I think it's the Hog's Breath Inn.
There you go. Yes.
That's probably what it is. And he actually has a clothing line, and I think even a golf course. He has a lot of stuff out there.
Busy guy. Well, it's a lovely, lovely area. But here you are in Prescott, I assume, for journalism. Yes.
I work here now. I worked in Sedona. I've worked in Flagstaff, and of course in Williams and the Grand Canyon area as well.
Yeah, a great field. So tell me a little bit about your fiction books.
Okay, well, those are more recent. I went from nonfiction into the realm of fiction, and I wanted to create something that was kind of fun for readers. A lot of I don't want to call it adult fiction, but adult fiction is very serious kind of reading, and I wanted something that was more reminiscent of the old pulp novels of the 40s, like The Shadow and Doc Savage, and things that I used to read. In fact, I still read them once in a while. So I tried to make my character Barker reminiscent of those characters, something that adults could read and not really be too heavy for them. You know, make it fun.
And these are your suspense, your mystery novels.
These are mystery novels. They're short mysteries. They're kind of a mix between what you would call cozies, like the Agatha Christie style mysteries, with a little bit of hard-boiled detective.
Cozies. Now, that when you said Agatha Christie, I'm picturing English tea with a cozy on the teapot.
Yeah, not very serious. You know, you don't come away depressed when you read an Agatha Christie book normally.
That's true. They end well. Do yours end well?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. Of course, I don't want you to tell
the
us
story's
the endings,
not over yet. I'm still working. It's a series, so it's a continuing story.
And you've got 2 out.
I've got 2 out. I'm currently working on the 3rd one, which I'm actually going to bring my main character to Sedona, Arizona. Get him out of California into Sedona.
So there's going to be a murder or something in Sedona.
An attempted murder.
An attempted murder.
It's a revenge plot.
Oh, okay, so see, it's sort of happy already. It starts out unlike Dan Brown's, who always start with a grisly murder, and then you have to figure out who done it.
Right, or even Columbo, that started out with, the watchers knew who the bad guy was, but Columbo didn't. These, I go differently with mine. They're light mysteries, they're heavy mysteries, it just depends.
When did you start writing?
17 years old. I wrote longhand, 4 novels longhand from 17 to about 21.
4 novels? What in the world inspired you that early, Patrick?
Well, I guess you could, my English class. In high school in Pacific Grove, California, I read my freshman year Romeo and Juliet, and then right after that I read Stephen King's short story, The Cat from Hell. And so I decided, hey, I want to write horror novels. I don't do that anymore, but when I was a teenager, I was a little darker, so
I think that happens.
You know, wore a lot of black, and so I wrote these horror novels all longhand.
But you've not published any of those?
I've not published, and in fact, I think I've since lost 2 of them in various moves. But I still have 2 of them. I look back and go, wow, I can't believe I could write that much in longhand.
Wow, amazing. You're a bit prolific. I'm impressed with the way you're able to do that.
Oh, thank you.
So you want to eventually just retire and have your own little cubby studio and be a full-time writer?
Well, that's most writers' dreams, I think. Maybe someday. It's fun to get out and about. Sometimes writers will stay indoors a little too much.
A lonely world.
They'll miss something that could potentially inspire them for their next book. So it's good to get out once in a while.
Patrick Whitehurst, where do people find your books?
Well, on Amazon would be the best place to look for my books. The Peregrine Book Company here in Prescott has some of my nonfiction stuff. And my ebooks are on Amazon.
All right. Very good. Nice to have you on the show, Patrick.
Thank you, Sandy.
Good luck with your writing. Can't wait to read some of your stuff.
Thank you.